Hey YouTube, welcome back. There's been a little delay in the van project here, but I'm going to kick it back off this evening. I got it kind of all the way down to as bare metal as I think I needed to take it down to. I've shot it with some primer, just a little test spot, just to see how it would lay down, and it laid down really nice. I cleaned it off though because it was the wrong color primer, but anyway, if that'll stick, most things will. But yeah, anyway, I got it all wire wheeled down in here. All the rust, all the loose rust is already off. I had to put all this stuff back in here for storage, but all the loose rust is off. Been just kind of slowly going through and knocking out all the dents. So making it pretty straight. I used a little heat and a couple hammers and dollies and whatnot. But yeah, it's going good. So tonight I'm just gonna probably weld up. I'm going through and welding up all of the holes, all the screw holes from the old window all the way around. You can see I already welded these ones. So kind of take you through the progression here. So that's what it looks like once it's welded. This is what it looks like once it's already welded and grinded down. So it's all nice and smooth. Still need a little bit of body filler in there, but it won't be as much as I would have needed if I just body filled straight over it. So you can see some of them are really nice. You can't even see these ones, so those ones are good. And then I also kind of just filled in the corners a little bit, just so that when I go to cut a piece of sheet metal, it won't be a weird rounded corner. So yeah, I got to grind that down, but I'll show you what it looks like before welded up, and then kind of shoot a little video of how to weld up all these little holes from all these little screws. You can see there's a bunch of them all the way around. So, and I'll go around and I'll weld those up and all these little holes. And then I got windows that'll fit inside of this. It's gonna be a little narrower than this window, but I think it'll be fine. They're the sliding RV windows, so still have some good airflow. I don't know, it might look a little weird being more narrow than all the rest of the windows. So if it looks too weird, I'll just weld up the panel and call it good. But if it looks all right and I can live with it, I would really like to have the extra airflow. So, and I just went around and kind of circled everything that I'm gonna have to fix. So everything with a Sharpie circle still needs to be addressed. Obviously this is gonna have to be completely cut out because this is really squishy right here. Bottoms of all the doors are kind of rotted. I tried to get that dent out. That was a pretty good one. I don't know what happened right there, but it's not terrible. Take a little body filler, but before I did any work to it, it was just a complete crease right there. So that was pretty bad. Got a couple pinholes there. This one still needs a little work. That whole corner needs a little work, but anyway, we're gonna focus on filling these holes and then patching that window right there. So, all right, give you a little walkthrough of how or which welder I'm using here. So this is just the Harbor Freight Chicago Electric flux core welder. I think I picked it up for $80 or something a long time ago. This is actually the first welder I learned how to weld with. This thing is a workhorse. It's been pretty good to me for a long time. I've used it for all the projects that I've had to weld on. It's pretty straightforward and easy. It's got a little chart. Doesn't really, I mean, I guess you can kind of use this stuff as a baseline, but from what I've found is every type of metal that I'm using, or depending on how good a quality the metal is, will change all these settings. So this is just a baseline. You adjust it to whatever you need to. So it's the 125 flux core welder. I'm using .030 welding wire. yeah, but anyway, it's working out pretty good. Really easy to use. You got on, off, minimum, maximum. This just changes your amperage to high or low basically. And then you have a wire feed setting, and this is going to change depending on whatever you're doing. So flip it on here. You got a ground. You ground to whatever you're welding. But yep, I think I picked that welder up, this mask up, and a set of gloves for, I think it was about $100 a while ago. So it's a great welder if you're learning how to weld or just getting into it or doing sheet metal work. This is great. It's not really good for thicker metals or structural welding, but as far as sheet metal goes, that thing is clutch. So anyway, I'll get you set up here and I'll start shooting or start welding up these holes. Alright, so got everything all set up. Got my glove. Oh, I used to have 2 gloves. I don't know where the other one went, but it's okay. I don't really use both hands anymore. So just come in. We're just going to do that all the way around. so I think I got them all. Just show you here. So hit them all. Like I said, that welder's pretty straightforward. And I'll hit it with a grinder here, and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so you can see I just hit it with the flapper wheel real quick. Most of them are pretty good. There's a couple where I can still see some light through, like right there. So I'll go back over that and hit those one more time. But for the most part, they're all kind of filled. The one thing you gotta not do is put too much heat into it, because then you'll warp it like crazy. So just try not to do that. And I was able to get all the backs of these grinded down too, so that's nice. But yeah, so next I'm going to start cutting out the panel for that guy. It's coming along pretty good. I tried to use the stick welder for that, and that didn't work, so that'll be for any structural stuff. But yeah, so next I'm just gonna be cutting out a panel for this guy and putting it on. Got some 22 gauge sheet metal from my local hardware store. That seems to be fairly close to the thickness of this metal, so that way it'll melt at the same time with the welder, and it won't be too flimsy. And luckily, this is fairly flat. It might have just the tiniest curve, but it's not complex at all, so that should be just about as easy as a panel as you can cut, I think. So go with that, and then after that I'll just continue with welding up all the bad spots, cutting out spots and welding. These ones are going to be kind of tricky because they got this kind of curved this way, and then it also has this hard flat spot, so that'll be interesting because that's rotten all the way through here. So, but I think I can get it, so yeah. So that'll be, these ones will be the hardest, I think, out of everything. Those and the bottoms of the doors are going to be rough, so that's okay. We'll get it. So, all right, I'm gonna set up for making a patch panel here. All right, so to make this patch, since it's not perfectly square, you can't really measure it and just go straight to cutting out of metal. So I made this cardboard piece, forward top. So this is gonna go just like this. It is slightly smaller than the hole, so that way I can, when I cut this out, this perfect square, or not an imperfect square, sorry, when I cut that out of there, it should give me just enough room to get a good weld between the two pieces of metal all the way around. And it's always easier to kind of make it out of cardboard, scrap cardboard, you know, window boxes or whatever, before, so that way you're not wasting a bunch of expensive sheet metal. So this fits really good, and like I said, it's not a perfect square. It was probably good enough for the window that they put in here, but it's not perfect. And so all I did for this was I first put blue tape all the way around the square, and then I transferred the blue tape from the square onto this box, cut that out, and then put this back up here, and then put another piece of blue tape between the cardboard and the metal, and then marked it from the inside so that way I could cut out a more precise shape. And this is what I came up with. And then I transferred it here. It's gonna be a little bigger here, just depending on which side. Well, the inside line is already gonna be the thickness of the Sharpie or whatever you use to mark the metal with. So I think I'm gonna cut it somewhere right in the middle so that way it's a little bit bigger so that it'll be able to bend a little bit, because it's gonna have to have a little shape to it. You don't want to just weld a flat piece into that rounded body, because it's not super rounded, but you can see, let's see, do I have any sheet metal anywhere? I think I do. You can see if you just tried to weld, I can't reach it, it's so close. It's okay. Anyway, let's see. You can see that it's not straight, right? So anyway, get this thing cut out real quick and then put it up there. Probably hold it up with like magnets or tape or something, and then just tack it in a couple spots, probably the two top, or yeah, a couple in the top, and then try to get it to line up good. If it doesn't line up good, you can always take a little off. So anyway, I'll get you set up here. Alright, so I got the panel in there, got a pretty good gap all the way around here. It's just held in place right now with, I got some duct tape on the back and then a couple magnets to keep it flush. But you can see, so right here it's popping out a little bit, that's just because the tape isn't holding it, but once I push it and then tack it, it'll hold just fine. And I put a little shape to it, so it sits on there nice. But yeah, so I'll get you set up here and we'll start tacking this bad boy in. Alright, well, it's getting pretty late and the welder hit its duty cycle limit and the light turned on, so anyway, I'm gonna call it a night for today, but it's on there. It's got a pretty good shape to it. It matches the curve pretty good. So I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's pretty much spot on. So got a bunch more tacks to do, and then I'll grind this off and then hit any spots that are still there. But basically you don't want to run a big bead on this, because if you do, it'll heat up the surrounding metal and make it bubble and it'll misshape it. So you want to kind of keep it nice and cool, well, as cool as you can, while welding, and just kind of go around and make a million little tacks. And then what you're gonna do is, once you get all your tacks in, you just go and you can try to run beads like that far. So bead, 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 and so on and so forth. But so like I did here, so I did tacks and then bead, tacks, and then there's some beads in here, a little bead there. Everywhere I could, I hit a bead. So, but mostly just tacks is all you want to do. So, but that's better than it was. Let's clean it up. So, just got some more custom stuff to do to this window to get the actual windows that I'm going to put in here to fit. Lots more parts to clean. I got to fabricate some support structures for the roof because I had to cut those out because it rusted. Everywhere there was one of those cross members was completely rusted. You could see the daylight shining through there. So I don't know what the deal was with that, but probably do some sort of tubes in there because I can't, there's no way I can remake that structure. Well, I could if I really wanted to, but I think I'll get away with doing just some tubing running across the top there. Probably look good. And get all these parts in here all cleaned up and everything, and be good to go. So got a whole closet full of parts that have already been done, and I got more to do. So lots of welding, lots of tacks, but it's coming along good. All right, thanks for watching.